Good evening and welcome to tonight's Foundry session. I hope you're doing well. We'd love to hear where you're watching us from, if you've got any questions for our guests and also for our compares tonight. Please use the hashtag TFSessions. And before we kick off tonight on our Nuke studio, the story so far, I want to introduce a few people, and I actually want to do a bit of a round of applause, and this guy doesn't know I'm going to do it. So I want to say a big congratulations to Sean Bryce, who is he's been in the company for a long time, and he's our Nuke product manager. So can we just give him a round of applause, people in here? I didn't do it in rehearsal. Love you, Sean. And also you will have seen the news as well. A big round of applause to John Woodelton as well, who is the CTO now at the Foundry. So round of applause for John! So tonight we've got one. God.
Go on.
I just shouldn't bother trying to do this. Juan Salazar, who is a creative specialist who's based in London. We've got quite an international flavour tonight. One's from Colombia.
Yep.
We've got Jordi from Post 23, who's from Barcelona. We've got Sean, obviously, who's from South Africa. And we've got Paul, who's sitting behind the scenes, who's going to be jumping in a bit, who's a Brit. And I'm from Essex, Irish. So it's kind of international flavour going on here. Anyway, we've got lots to cover tonight, so please let us know where you're at, all that good stuff, TF sessions, and over to you, boys.
Cool, great. Thanks, Bex. Jordi, welcome. And tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
Well, I'm Jordi. I'm from Post 23. I'm director and DFX supervisor. Mostly we do commercials, feature films, and game cinematics. And we are about 15 people, sometimes growing, sometimes shrinking. And if you like, I will show you our reel.
Yeah, please. See.
Well, that's pretty much it.
All right, we can go. That's really cool. So,
I wanted to talk about Trip to Max, one of our last commercials. Actually, it's a director's cut because we did it like a year before, and we didn't like how it ended up on screen, so it's easy to redo it again, right? So in this time, we used Nuke Studio to do that. We'll show you the ad and then we'll talk about it.
Hoy es un buen día para volver a ser tú mismo.
The sun keeps rising, the sun will set. Yet out of the blue came wonderful you. And I won't forget.
Triptomax aumenta los niveles de triptófano y magnesio que favorece un funcionamiento psicológico adecuado. Triptomax, mente positiva.
Right, we're back. We're really sorry about that. One of us needed the toilet. No, that was a joke. Sorry, that was a really bad joke. Thank you for bearing with us. So, back to where you were, boys.
So we were talking about workflow before.
Yeah, actually, this video illustrates how the previous workflow we had. that we have to, every time an animator is finishing his shot, then we have to go replace the footage, go there, search for it, then check everything there. So it was like kind of sluggish, kind of slow, and then you lose all the versions. I mean, when you have to track another version before, you have to duplicate, you have to search for the previous media, and then when Nuke Studio, when Hero and Nuke Studio came, this is what we have now. I mean, you're searching for your versions, and you have overall control from this window with the V. You can check all the animation you had before, and then you see if you are really going forward or going backwards, right? And then you never lose the track of what you're doing.
In that you actually had from video references all the way to your final layout and rendering.
Actually, I will show you next a video when we have all the stages of animation, and then you will see how we use in every step, right? So, as you can see, you can compare with the layout to check if the cameras are okay, the animation is okay, the same position, and if you've been improving or not all the time. Here, for example, I have another video, which is when you have a layout, right? You move to animation, and before you have to do the timeline again, right? You have to edit it again, and now usually you have the layout, you create a new structure with all the name convention, and if you have any shots of animation, bam, it goes straight like this, easy, and you have all the animation edited in the same frame, which you can compare all the time, one with the other.
So you're using those structures just to pull animation or to pull any layout, but those are your structures. You do it per job, or do you do them for the facility the whole time, and then you just recycle them?
Yeah. Actually, we have like a global, like we use all the time, and then if any show has some difference, or we will need to improve something, maybe we improve it in this show, and then it continues. I mean, it gets implemented for all the rest of the shows, right? But we use always the same because everybody knows how it works, and it's very easy to make it understandable for them and for Nuke Studio, right?
Yep. Cool. That's really cool.
So this is the one you were talking about earlier in terms of you have everything stacked up together, so you can work through at the same time.
In this video, for example, you can see how we have the board, I mean the very rough board, which was given by the client. Then we have the layout, then the live footage that we did with some animator, right? Then we did the layout, the animation. We even put the render beauty and the comp overall, right? In this way, you can compare, like you can see here, that you are in the same frame, and how you've been improving from layout to final comp all the time, all the time. And you have like a vision all the time of all the project.
Yeah. It's interesting with the live reference. Did you use that a lot in terms of working with the animation?
Well, usually we were using the live reference from the animators themselves. We have a small hall where they are recording themselves with a mirror and stuff. But in this occasion, was dancing, right? You know, guys and dancing, it's this kind of stuff. But actually we tried. Our animator tried, and he did his best for 2 days. And in the end, we saw it, we made a bit laugh. We were laughing a lot about that, and we decided to catch a professional choreographer, right? And we recorded in our terrace, and then we use it in Hero. I mean, we use it in Nuke Studio, and then we export it, and they were checking in Hero all the time if they were correct or not correct. I mean, the exact frame, if they were following the animation towards the live reference, right? All the time.
So in that sense, what you're also talking is that your artists were checking the stuff, not using Nuke Studio, but using Hero or Hero Player to actually check how they were in there. Yeah,
actually, this is one of the cool things of this system, right? Because you can save as a player project, and happens that all the studios but from the modelers to the animators, all the rendering guys, all the compers, everybody gets updated all the time. I mean, it's not like they're expecting the daily or they're expecting every 2-3 days to wait to see how things are finishing. Because it happens that sometimes you go to animation area or something and they are there like spying you. They're watching your rendering, they're rendering you did overnight, and hey, there's some error here, or the comps, the first thing that comes from the composition, it's going to be like that. I say, no, we just started. But they are like all the time trying to be updated. And it's cool because they are like, they feel like challenge themselves. Because, for example, they do some animation and then you are finishing everything and they start to look cool, right? So they feel like challenged to give something more. For example, in this one, we were having almost finished everything, and one of them decided, oh, this looks cool, but what about some birds? I said, oh, could be nice. And he said, okay, I think this shot has possibilities. Let's animate some birds. And every time all the people try to challenge the other one. Every department tried to challenge because they know because he's been doing there.
So instead of being looking at just the one shot, they're used to, they're actually looking at the whole show.
And actually, I have another, when animating, we have another thing that it's very cool with the animators. We used to have some, let's say, some mistakes, some record mistakes or something, because they were focused on their job, on their shot, right? And with the previous editing tools, it was very difficult for them. If it's not easy, they are not doing it, right? So if they have to replace footage and blah, 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 sometimes they were having mistakes of record between animations, some arm, some arc, whatever. And with Hero, they have one here in their workstation, and they are, every time they are animating, they are upgrading. And they are checking, and when the project or the animator comes to me to give the feedback, there's a lot of things that I mistake that disappear because they are more into the global, not only the shot.
It's nice. It keeps everyone aware of everything that's happening around them, and I guess just not just the project, but what everyone else is working on. And I guess a good way of like a dynamic workflow as well, as you said earlier with the birds, being able to just do things on the fly, just being influenced and encouraged by what other people are doing.
And they know exactly in which point is the process of everything. They know if we are doing the first comp, if we are finishing, if they have time to improve something, or they don't.
Cool. That's brilliant.
But actually, well, this is one thing that I use a lot. The comp containers and the frame server. For me, it's very, very, very easy to have all the shots together, right? And to be able to access every shot in every moment, right? You are double clicking, for example, here I'm lowering down some flares, and you're doing just like this. And here, for example, I had two slave machines and my machine, and look at the speed. I mean, it's almost real time.
Nice. So is that using the frame server in the background?
Yeah, but I mean, and it's very easy to set up. I mean, it's like, even in the help, you have the line there. I just have to change the name or the IP address, and it was working.
With the other machines on.
Yeah. You only have to be aware of the plugins you're having, sure, and the rest is like transparent for you. I mean, you can check in the script editor that they are working, and you have them.
Nice. A good sort of speed performance hit for fairly little work.
And then, for example, here I have an example of finishing, because when we were having everything finished, I've seen that one shot was a little bluish, right? You can see the skin there, and it's more bluish than it should. So instead of going back to Nuke, rendering and come back again, I'd say to put the soft effect here, a gray, then touch the gamma bit to more yellow, and then the skins, use the match.
Get the match.
Just at the moment. And no rendering. Yeah. No rendering, and you can deactivate and activate, and you can see all the work you've done in a moment. So it was very easy because actually this was done yesterday night. So I was preparing all the material here, and I didn't have any video for that, straight on this thing. And when I was checking, I said, oh, okay, this is the perfect spot to do it. And I did it, and well.
So it gives you that ability to kind of finish up.
Yeah,
just either
sure.
if you're with a client or anything, but it's just finishing at the end. You have all your comps, you don't have to go back into it and come back out.
Actually, you are having everything there, and you just can move a bit, and then you do the whatever the grade you need, or to transform, or if you want to do bigger because I don't know, some zooming or whatever you're doing there, and you have it in real time. I mean, when you are like everybody's waiting for you, it's very important to have the ability to do things in seconds, right? Because sometimes clients, they ask for things that you don't expect in that moment. Yeah, mostly in Spain. I don't know here. And it's very cool to feel yourself like you are capable to do that in a moment.
Yeah, it's great.
That's really cool.
And then,
Okay. Cool. So that's some stuff that you have told us a bit of why and how you're actually looking for. Tell us a little bit about that and how you really have changed your pipeline based on.
Well, actually, we changed our pipeline completely. I mean, to match Nuke Studio, because we've been waiting for something like that for a long time. And it's very important for us because we have one package, find everything there. I mean, the editing capabilities are nice for me. I mean, I don't need nothing more. I mean, it's more than enough. I have the boards there, I have the layout, I have all the stages there, and I don't have to convert to do XML or whatever. You are having it there, and that's over. I mean, for us, I mean, it's cost effective because you don't need any other software to do that.
And that's regarding kind of the editing comp and conform in one place, but then you have the versioning.
Yeah, the versioning, for example, in a normal VFX studio, they would start with Nuke Studio. After they do the XML, they corrected the colors or whatever, or they do the editing. But we do from the very beginning. So the versioning for us is very, very important because we are upgrading all the time. All the time we're doing versions of cameras, acting, all the time, in all the stages. So for us, it was really a pain in the ass because we used to do a lot of replays, and in the end you were having like a kind of Frankenstein there. And now we have every timeline with the things you should have, and it's easy.
So you're keeping, so you're keeping the same naming conventions almost from all the way from the boards.
Yeah.
All the way to the final shot.
Yeah. Actually, the only thing that changed is the word, the tag layout, animation, render beauty, or comp, but all the rest stays the same. So it's the way that we found is the best to match with Nuke Studio, because the way he understands better, and the way it's better for you because you don't have to think. If you are saving some name or publishing, you say it's animation. If you are rendering, it's render. This comp, it's comp. So no mistakes there.
That's great. In terms of the export structure as well, was it easy for you to set that up and
yes,
what
actually,
you guys needed?
The point is, actually, who did this job was our editorial guy, Pep, and he's not a technical guy. I mean, he doesn't know Python. He's not a coder or something, and he's editor. And well, he said, okay, I will try to do myself. And in no time, with all the variables and all the stuff, he was able to do it alone. I mean, without almost any help. Well, I think he emailed you sometime, but it's a cool thing that you don't need, because it happens at small studios, sometimes you don't have people from Pipeline or they don't know Python. So it's easy because you have your variables there and it works. So
it's good to hear.
Yeah.
And then you spoke in terms of having everyone being able to see everything from the people who are inputting in, from your designers to your compositors. And that's really helpful for you guys because there's always all eyes on it at the same time and everyone being able to see what everyone does. But yeah, obviously it sounds like it's a really good way for the way that your company
Yeah,
works.
the beginning was difficult to. First days was difficult to get used to it because a lot of people was giving their opinion. You weren't used to it, but you were used to the clients give their opinion. But in the end, some modeler, some animator is giving their opinion of the render of something, and in the beginning was like, is this good? But in the end, 30 eyes see more than 4 or 6, right? So once you find a way to filter that, it's better because there are a lot of little mistakes that you are in a shot, you concentrate, and maybe there's a big mistake here, and you are so concentrated that you cannot see it, right? And the other one is fresh. He's looking with another eyes. Maybe he's looking his animation or whatever, and he's very attentive to one part he's done, and you are attentive to everything, and you can lose something, but they don't, believe me.
So brilliant. So, and also some of the tools that you said, the ones that you kind of like and use along the way that you find super useful for what you guys do.
Yeah. For example, pixel analyzer is like one thing. It's small trick. I mean, you are analyzing the whole image or the whole sequence, and then you see the maximum point, for example, right? So we use that to normalize the Z-depth from Arnold. And before you have to watch in a different way, where's the maximum point you have to do with the picker, then now you have the value that you copy that in our tool we made, you have normalized Z-depth without no effort.
We're having to go around and picking
I've never
points all over the,
Yeah,
all over the
yeah.
frame. Yeah, I know the feeling.
That's cool. And then the burn-ins, do you use them a lot?
This is the time saver for us. I mean, it used to happen that the editorial guy or he was waiting till you were finishing the job, usually late, right? And he was waiting till the end to put all the burn-ins over, right, in the editing program, and all by hand. I mean, and it's like sluggish and you have errors, right? So now you have text, you have a variable, and you have them all the time. You have the time code, you have everything. So you don't. He lives more happily now.
You can go home a little bit earlier.
Yeah. And he with the feeling that okay, I'm not here just to put some code or some frame number in the end, right?
Yeah.
Because this happens transparent for you.
Oh, that's very cool. Well, the last one, I'm gonna leave it to him. That is
compatibility with Hero. Well, from that regard, I'd just say everyone keep your eye on the sky for maybe around about NAB time coming up, April-ish. But we're definitely going to be moving Hero and Nuke Studio to being in sync in the future, so you'll be able to go backwards and forwards very cleanly, and also porting all of the tools that we've, or most of the tools that we put into Nuke Studio into the Hero side. Not everything, but a lot of the good stuff that has gone in there. So you'll be able to use it on that side as well.
Yeah. Also, about F-Track, I have my story.
yeah.
Happens I went to see our neighbors in the studio there in Barcelona and found Lorenzo Agnelli, who is the one coder I know from Festo Lab. And he told me, are you using F-Track? I said, not at the moment. I said, but you're using Nuke Studio? I said, yeah, come here. And he actually happens that he's the coder, he's doing the plugin to connect F-Track with Nuke Studio. And he showed me, and I won't say more, but it looks brilliant. It looks brilliant, really. And it's actually because where we are moving to F-Track now, because for us, when we showed me that way of doing things, I said, okay, I love easy things.
Well, you should say thank you to Ben. Yeah.
Brilliant. But yeah,
Brilliant.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. And I think that was
Johnny.
good.
And funnily enough, F-Track did actually tweet at us a little bit earlier. So, hello, lovelies. Hope you're well. So yeah, we're going to just do a quick swap over. We're going to bring on Paul Simpson. But while that's going on, I am going to just let you know and do a couple of shout outs. I want to say hi again to Dillon joining us again. I remember, see. So I just want to do a long list, like I always do, of all the countries that are online right now, because it's actually epic. So USA, Canada, Germany, Spain, UK, Switzerland, South Africa, maybe someone from your family.
My mum.
I was like, we did actually put in the notes, maybe Sean's mum. Sweden, Norway, Kazakhstan, Luxembourg, Cyprus, Turkey, Finland, Belgium, Ecuador, Croatia, Portugal, Bulgaria, Australia. Hello, Australia. Getting up very early. New Zealand as well. Hello. Mexico, Poland, Denmark, Italy, Czech Republic, Russia, Colombia, Japan. Wow. That one made us like jump up as well. Netherlands, Somalia, Ukraine, Armenia, Austria. Whew. A lot of people. We've got people tweeting us as well from Gothenburg. We've got people in sunny South Africa. Might not be your mum. Might be someone else with your mum. Oh no, that sounds terrible. We'll have to edit that bit. Doc, Cluster Studios. Yes, we'll see you on Tuesday. Awesome. Right. Whew. And I can relax. We're now going to go over to the wonderful Paul Simpson. He's going to talk about how they've been using Nuke Studio over at Realise. Again, questions, keep throwing them at us. We will have a Q&A shortly. Over to you, boys.
Hello, Paul. Welcome to the Foundry Sessions.
Thank you.
So, please tell us about you and Realise, which we know is amazing. So,
Well, thank you. Okay, so my name is Paul Simpson. I'm the founder and creative director at Realise. Realise has been going for about 15 years, and we specialise on sort of TV commercials, feature films, long-form TV series, special projects with projections, and the odd, well, nowadays, one music video a year.
one.
Any particular reason why? Or
I think it's one a year now because the music industry. I mean, we came from starting off in music videos, so they're very, very close to my heart, and I would love to do more. But the promo market has shrunk now. It's got much safer. It's not often. It's not as vibrant as it used to be. You know, there's so many more boy bands, and we don't want to work on a boy band video. Famous last words, but be here next year talking about One Direction. But if I do, you can shoot me. All right, but you know, and the budgets aren't there, so it's more of a labour of love now working on promos. But it is something. But love with a capital L. I mean, we love working on them. It is still the most creative and vibrant sort of area that we work on. I still feel, and it's a time where we can just experiment and not be so afraid to make mistakes, and you know, and explore. So it's one a year, but we really try and make. You know, I mean, in the last few years we've done Chemical Brothers. You know, we used to work on Prodigy and Future Under London back in the day, and Gold Frat. Yeah, it's the first one we ever worked on, and so we like to work with really, really good artists, and we just jumped when we had well, I'll tell you a little about that later.
okay, brilliant.
But in the meantime, I can quickly show you our reel. It's a 90-second reel, and then we can talk a bit about this particular promo.
Brilliant.
So obviously that's what you normally do.
That's our day job. Yeah, that's what pays the bills and puts the roof over our heads. And this job was a bit special. It was somebody we've worked with a lot before, a production company called Knucklehead, who do fantastic stuff, and they've got an amazing director called Chris Hewitt, and the producer Matthew Brown. He came to us. It was kind of a bit of a strange one. I showed him something about 10 years ago, which is a little test I did about an audio reactive a piece, and it must have stuck in his mind because you don't often get a call starting with, that thing you showed me 10 years ago.
So he just came back to haunt you.
Yes, he just came sort of out of the blue, going, that thing you showed me, that was really interesting. Can we talk to you, because we've got a job. And so it turned out it was Warp Records, who I'm a long-time fan of Warp, and an artist called Clark, who's a sort of guy who's doing some really, really innovative, amazing stuff. And Chris had put together this really beautiful-looking treatment, which we just as soon as we saw it, we realised we had to do it. This had to be our one video of this had to be the 2014 promo. So we got together and we spoke about it, and it was one of those jobs which was a pretty compressed schedule. It was it ended up being 4 weeks. And like most music videos, there's not a much budget, so we had to find a way to make it work. But it was one of those jobs that you just have to do it, and sometimes constraints are good. There's a lot of constraints on this, on this particular job, so we leapt into it.
Cool. Shall we have a look?
Sure. Yeah, I'll show you rather than the whole 3 minutes. I'll just show you some excerpts of it. So this isn't the complete edit, but yeah, I can show you some. Yes.
Cool. I do love the look of it, but we'll talk about that later. But
Sure.
I guess I'm interested because I used to use a bit of a Houdini way back in the day.
Yeah.
And they looked like there was a lot of a good system driving all of that. There was a lot of pulsating. And can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, we had to go a very sort of procedural route on this. I hate to use the word organic because we get, so every single job people come in and say we really want to work in an organic way, and it's just the biggest cliche. But this actually was an organic job because Chris had he had some ideas about how he wanted to execute this. We came along with a bunch of ideas on the audio reactive nature of this, but this was very much a journey. This wasn't very. This is not when you look at it, obviously one of those jobs where you've got a bunch of storyboards and you just tick off the boards and you've got the job done. It was very much an exploration, and but that's why it was exciting and fun, and it's nice to sort of jobs like this for us are sort of like art therapy. Sometimes tough, very tough therapy, but it's a real process. So he came to us with with about 500 of the most beautiful images we've seen, which was fantastic until we realised these are 500 ideas, you know.
Which I'm gonna do, right?
Yeah, rather than one or two ideas. So but we thought we should, you know, I mean, this is one of those times when you've got to embrace the process, and so what we were thinking about is the way we could enable the director to work in a very creative way and not shackle him and not sort of box him in too early. So we had the system which was 10 years old, so it was the oldest restore we ever did in sort of the history of like getting an old DAT tape out and to get this audio reactive system going, which did a sort of Fourier analysis, and it sliced up the waveform into its different frequency components, and then we put springs on each one, and it's kind of fun just to create an audio reactive system, and then we could feed it into lots of different models. Mm-hmm. And he had a lot of ideas on sort of everything from, and the underlying story of the track or you know the motif is one of sort of birth and aging and sort of going through life, and there was the sort of concept of the wheel of life. So we wanted to be able to take a lot of really good models that we could grab and put them into the system, and you know create a whole volume of material that you would normally do sort of if you're shooting something for real, and then give that to the editor. And actually the editors are real the unsung heroes of this job. Adam Marshall and Stephen Dunn, they took a huge amount of material. So what was bizarre is normally in making CG CG anything, you're having to do it very, very sort of precisely, and you can't afford to sort of create it anymore because it's such an expensive process. But using a very procedural technique, we were able to feed in a lot of different models, and we created about 30 minutes of material for this, which is kind of insane.
Mental.
And you had some images just of showing the process in terms of the system actually in place.
Yes.
Yes.
Let me show you some of the audio reactive nature. So this here is the this is the first heart, and this is the original sort of audio reactive that we started with, and it's very sort of simple in nature. And then we took that and then we grew that. And we also used that very much in terms of the spinning of sort of, we called it the potter's wheel too. And that became a sort of a motif that we used throughout the promo.
Oh, brilliant.
So the next stuff that we did, I can show you some sort of work in progress sort of images, and these sort of tell us, they sort of walk us through some of the imagery that we did and that lead us into some of the treatments. So this is the heart, and this became quite we use this a lot, and then we just sort of step through these one by one. And
isn't that just all geometry just being pulled by that system that you're getting in?
Exactly, and we use the same sort of thing to sort of use the audio reactive system to do booleans, and so it was throughout the process. It was just trying to treat. I mean, essentially, it was very simple, and we wanted to deconstruct the usual idea. We did a lot of very high-end visual effects all the time, and it was very cathartic to actually be able to take our normal processes and just treat it in very, very simply. And one of the things we can show you later is that the treatment we wanted this to look like was very much of an analog, as though this was sort of somehow captured rather than sort of created. So. But we did the same effect, and we were using particles too, and often the force field of the particles were again influenced by the track too.
And then you're starting to get into the look there, and starting to get the filmic type of.
Yes. I think very early on we decided we sort of realised that this is a very electronic track, so that sort of. One of the you either go unapologetically digital when you're sort of in CG, or you run 180 degrees in the opposite direction as fast as you can, and we chose the latter on this one. So we wanted to go for a much more analog look and a more filmic one. So we used every single trick in the old book. So we had so this is once we sort of were working this in post, we put this through some very simple filters, but just allowed us to sort of float the image inside the gate as though we had a sort of a badly registered bit of film, sort of, you know, floating in the gate of a camera, of an old 16mm camera.
Proper 16mm.
Lot of aberrations and distortions and grain. Actually, one thing that we found is that because we're using Mantra, side effects is you know, Houdini's renderer, which is an unbiased Monte Carlo renderer. So we ramped up all the quality settings down. Which was really nice because we were getting really super fast renders and a really beautiful stochastic grain, which looks like a film grain. So we were sort of going unapologetically in the wrong direction or the opposite direction that we normally
will have done for.
Yeah, that we normally go in, but that was part of the sort of our therapy, I guess, and it gives it a different look. There's so many cookie cutter sort of, you know, highly polished things. So it was nice just to sort of you know, fly in the face of all of that. So I can show you some more work on the treatment now. So this is sort of like a raw render.
So it's just coming straight out of Mantra.
This is straight out of Mantra. You know, we're using some sort of underlying subsurface scattering, but it's a very raw render. And what we did is that we fed everything into Nuke Studio. So you know, we're using the same naming convention. So anything that went into it automatically could have an automatic treatment applied to it. So that was, you know, when you're creating 30 minutes of material, we couldn't afford or didn't have the time to have a librarian on that. So that's when we started, you know, feeding everything into. Actually, I could talk a bit more about F-Track now, but we started. But it's kind of important actually, because it's so. You know, there's no point creating all this material if it just gets lost in the ether or in the filing system. And you know, the capability of Nuke Studio is great for sort of filing everything, sort of, you know, for the editor, but it was also good to be able to sort of have it in the database too. So you know, everything that we render goes into F-Track, and then it automatically gets put into our sort of history reel inside Studio. So it was a really, really good way of. I mean, this was quite different from how we normally. You know, I mean, we've been using Studio and F-Track sort of very tightly for large format projects. So, you know, for feature work and for, you know, TV series, we're working on hundreds of shots. And normally we're always talking about trying to scale things up and bigger, but this is one of the occasions when we were really keen to see how something could scale down into, you know, rather than having a team of 20 or 30 people working on a job, what happens if you just got 3 or 4 people and does that work? And what we found was that it allowed us to work in a much bigger way with a much smaller team.
Yeah, it's nice that the same system that you have could just be shrunk down, and you could do the same stuff without really coming across any normal hiccups.
Yeah, it sort of surprised us because we normally, you know, sort of have quite a lot of infrastructure there, and you sort of have a, you know, visual effects editor on those bigger jobs. But what we found was that once you got a system all up and running and it's sort of like bulletproof, that we were able to sort of shrink it down onto a much smaller team, and they're able to enjoy all the benefits that, you know, you get on sort of a bigger setup. So that was a bit of a game changer for us, and you know, it was an experiment, but I think we're going to be doing that more and more. You know, we don't see the size of the project as a you know, or the smallness of the project as an obstacle to be able to sort of use these sort of like slightly more exotic tools.
Nice. So it's very versatile, going either way.
Yes, yeah, it was a pleasant surprise for us.
Really?
So I can show you some more
Looks.
some look and okay. So let's just go back to this. So so this is the raw render coming straight out of Houdini, and then I'll show you the treatments right after. And Ross McPherson, he's our lead on this job, and he did some really nice work on just treating it.
Again, that grain from the 16mm and the aberration.
Exactly.
That's why I said at the beginning, I love the look. I do love the look.
Thank you. Yes, it's all about taking something and then fucking it up. And here we are. Here's some other renders which are just sort of post-treated.
It gives it that proper look of being shot, isn't it?
Yes.
Quite
Yes.
nice.
And it's softening it up and just degrading it, so we we get out of that curse of CG into something a little bit more photographic, and that's what it's all about. You know, Chris, he's a very visual director, and he shoots everything beautifully, and you know, it was very important to him that we're able to do sort of something which he felt was sort of, you know, was photographically authentic.
And it feels like it.
That's brilliant. In terms of like collaboration as well with the artists within your facility, did you find anything useful in the current setup that you have?
Yes, I think one thing that we use more and more now is sort of hero player. So it's really important that people, I think in the past it was very easy for people just to work on be very shot centric and look at a job through the wrong end of a telescope and just think about if they do their shot, then their job is done. But it isn't, because we always get to dailies, and what we found now is that dailies was used to be just this sort of the once in a day opportunity to see how all your work sort of worked in context, and now we're having everything sort of living live on a system, and anybody can fire up Nuke Studio, sort of the hero player, which shows us in context. Then there's no excuses for things not to work. So we're actually getting used to now, when we're just doing sort of our walkabouts, is not asking people to show us just shots sort of individually, but always to show it in context, so we can see the shot before, the shot after, or sometimes the few shots before and a few shots after, just so people can see, does it work? Because I think it's part of, we're not just animators, we're filmmakers, and it's important to think in context of the bigger picture.
Nice, it's sort of like a bouncing around client assists as you walk around.
Yes, and I think it for us, it's about democratizing that filmmaking process. And before, when we were using sort of much older, sort of or old-fashioned sort of legacy products, it took quite a long time. It was such a prohibitive thing just to load in new material and insert it in the edit and to name it and to save it. There's such a sort of rigmarole attached to that things happened much slower. So it just feels we're much more sort of, we removed the latency from a lot of the creative decisions.
Okay, brilliant.
But with that, you're actually getting your artists to actually spend more time on the artist side, and instead of the technicalities a little bit, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And it also means that we have less technicians, sort of, so we can afford more artist time, and that's a really important thing, because we're not here to be pipeline programmers or to sort of, stick everything together. We want to be doing the arty stuff. The arty stuff is what we enjoy, and it's what people come to us to do. So it's so important to just get that, sort of remove that latency from, from doing the work to seeing it in context.
I think you have a good announcement.
Yes. One thing I'd just like to say is that we are looking for Nuke artists. So we are. So if there's somebody out there, please do get in touch. We're always looking to find people who are really artistic, and and especially people who want to work in a small creative studio. So if there's anybody out there, please get in touch. We'd love to hear from you.
Cool. There is one last point that I wanted to bring up, just because we talked about it before, and it was about the editing of it. That is something that you told me that I have to say, it's my fault. I haven't done a video on it. And it's about the snapshots on Nuke Studio on here. And you were talking about it, and I thought it was brilliant. I think it would be brilliant if you can share it.
Yes. So we were talking earlier, and I mentioned the snapshots, and we just find those incredibly useful. And then that reminded yourself not to. You got to make a video about it. But So
I own it.
we find that it's really nice to be able to sort of snapshot a project, and then be able to sort of wander down, change things around, and then be able to sort of roll that back, and then try another tree. So the whole snapshotting method we find is really good as a creative process, and we use it a lot with version control inside Houdini, and it's really nice to see those sort of concepts, because it's coming from programming, that context, but it's a really, really good artist tool. So you got to make a video.
Yeah, I know that. I'll be doing that one next.
That's brilliant. But do you also use that in terms of, I guess, when you're sitting live with clients as well, that you can easily bounce between things and potentially go down small paths if they want to change things on the fly with them?
Oh, absolutely. It's sort of quite a nice. It's like a nice safety net where we can feel that we can just wander off and create a lot of different changes, and every time we think we're there, then we can just snapshot there and snapshot. And you're sort of creating a tree of decisions, and I think it's really useful. I mean, I'd almost like to have a visual representation of how we see that. There's some maybe RFEs later on, but I think it's very, very handy.
Brilliant.
Cool. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, everyone's jumping in now. Okay, so we do have some questions, and we do have some directed questions for each one of you, and one for you, Sean, as well. So I'm going to kick off with a question for Geordie, and then we'll bounce to Paul. So we've got a question on Twitter. Geordie, how do you handle changes in the EDL once compositing work has started?
Well, we always work with head and tails, like 10 frames, and you can move from 10 to 10. If there's some radical change, so it's a bigger problem than that. But usually we're working with head and tails of 10 frames. So this way, you are like covered.
Okay, okay, cool. Lots of love for the music video, Paul. There was even warp rules. Warp totally rules. I think we're showing our age, maybe. I don't know. So, question for Paul. If the music promo demand has shrunk, could you not make it essential again? Warp rules.
Warp rules, yeah. Well, would love to, but it's just unfortunately, it's more of a question of economics, really.
Right.
It just comes down to. I mean, we used to work in music videos which had big budgets. Nowadays, whenever we work in a music video, we probably end up funding it a bit ourselves.
Yeah.
And often the director puts some of their own money in it, in it too. So it literally is a labour of love. And and we work with some very, very large artists, and there's still very little money.
Yeah.
The only way it seems to be, I mean, we'll do it, but the thing is, it just requires, to do a big project is hundreds of man hours.
Yeah.
So, it's a very, very expensive proposition. And what we are seeing now is a bit of more product placement. So, we did something for Alicia Keys and BlackBerry when she was the creative director of BlackBerry.
Yes.
No longer. And so that was an interesting budget, and, we could sort of push it a bit more. But then again, as soon as you do that, then you're sort of really, then you've got a client, and it's not really a music video anymore. It's a music video and a commercial at the same time, or there's another agenda. And I can't imagine any sort of company, sort of commercial company, really wanting to sort of get on board with an idea like the one that we worked on, because it was so sort of nebulous and ephemeral when we first started into it, and it's a progression. So I would love to, if there's any way we could do that, we could, but it's I can't do it any more than we are
Do you
now.
think though that there may be a transition with that, because like the whole indie film thing rising, do you know what I mean, like whether that could like flip again, or is that just like wishful thinking?
Well, I don't know. I mean, the business models. I mean, music is very, very entrenched in how it in how the business model works. So, if you're an artist, if you're a musician and you create some music, then you own. You've got your publishing, and you've got you get money out of it in two different ways. Like when you're a video director, or somebody, you're co-directing or working on a video and putting a lot of your own time and effort into it, you do a buyout.
Yeah.
Now, with the advent of YouTube and and the Vivos and the Vimeos, if there was a way of somehow getting that back, it could work. I mean, look at the crowdsourcing, and the Kickstarter looks really, really interesting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it would be great for for band. I mean, I think that would be quite interesting. Is for a band to go to Kickstarter and say, we want to make a promo. This is the idea. Give us some funding for it.
Yeah. I mean,
that's a good idea. I might not have thought of that.
That is amazing. Should we just paint on that now? It's on camera. It's in history. Okay, so Geordie, in your opinion, what is the most comfortable monitor resolution screen to work with Nuke Studio?
Yeah, well, actually we work with two monitors with 2 HP, 1920 for 1200, and it works like a charm. It's my experience. So.
Okay, cool. For Paul, how do you define your creative box when it comes to music and visuals? Because I'm trying to figure out Twitter speak, because the possibilities seem endless. So let me read that back to you. How do you define your creative box when it comes to music and visuals, because the possibilities seem endless? I mean, this one you were working quite closely with the director. There was a lot of beautiful backwards and forwards. I mean, how does that?
Yeah, I think well, the constraints, the boxes, the constraints are always it's that triangle. It's the time, quality, and money. You know, getting right down to it. So depending on how much time you have, you say, well, we've got so many resources, we've got so many people, and this is the idea, and it's. I mean, I think constraints are really, really good, and that's the only thing which, if you don't have a constraint, if you remove the time constraint, then you never finish the job.
No, of course not.
So they're usually defined for us, and then it's up to us to work, in conjunction with the director to see how we can best make use of the constraints that we've got. So I think we've done more music videos than I can remember now, so it's you have a gut feeling for what's the best route, and sometimes you'll say on this one, let's go lo-fi with the look. And I mean, saying that, sometimes we go lo-fi and look on a very, very expensive commercial, but sometimes it's often, usually it's all done for you. It's quite obvious. To me, it feels like quite obvious on how things should be approached. There's no it's not a science, it's more of an art.
Yeah. Okay, Geordie, what made you choose to get into animation?
Sorry?
What made you choose to get into animation?
Since I was a child, I mean, actually, like everybody, I think.
Yeah.
You watch cartoons, and then you think, if I study that and things go well, maybe I'll do my own.
Yeah.
So in the end, you start with 2 or 3 people, and you end up with 15 or 20, and you're doing your whatever you want.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So childhood dream has.
Yeah.
You're actually now earning a living off your childhood.
Sure.
You're a blessed. You're a blessed man. No, that's awesome. I mean, did you study, or was it you went straight into studio, like running? What was your route into?
I've been studying several things like computing. I've been studying advertising, and then started with the computer graphics. And then I realized that the people who were working in computer graphics, I matched with them. Better way. We have mutual interest. And then, well, you start, blah 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 blah. You study more, and then you find a way to find people whom you are spending the day in a nice way. So both things get together, and then you end up doing animation.
That's how you do it, kid.
Life takes you somewhere.
That's awesome. Paul, how do you find Nuke Studio for full feature projects? Stable? So there's a few questions here. Full feature projects, question mark. Stable, question mark.
Yeah.
What's your workflow with full feature / episodic, question mark, platform? So
Right.
it's a lot of questions. So let's break.
That's a big
So let's.
one, yeah.
This is actually 4 questions. So should we break this down? So Nuke Studio and full feature projects. Have you been? I
Yes,
think.
Yeah, I mean, we've done 3 in the last year. So we've done hundreds of shots through Nuke Studio. Is it stable? I've got to be careful. What I say here, I want to get home.
You're not coming to dinner tonight.
We've run hundreds of shots through it, so it's pretty stable. No software. There's no magic bullet. If anybody says that, then they're lying to you.
Of course.
There's always going to be issues, but we feel confident. I feel confident enough to put big projects through it now, which we rely on.
So the other one was the workflow with full feature episodics.
God, well, I could speak for probably about an hour about that, but just to summarise, I mean, it's when we went from doing TV commercials into feature, we thought, we'd done commercials for so long, we thought features, it's not such a big deal, and that was, excuse me, I mean, that was just a mistake, and it took us one project to really learn that, but I mean, the workflow is completely different from from the commercials. You got lookup tables, you've got LUTs. It's much more database orientated. We use, we have to use a asset management system. We use FTrack on top of that. But you have to. You just can't work on a file-based workflow anymore. You need to be able to plug into a mature system which can be interrogated. Which we do all our deliveries now through Nuke Studio and Hero. So which is driven by a producer. So if a producer can look at a whole bunch of shots and say these are marked for final in FTrack. Build a list of all the shots that are ready, and then we, hit a button, and then that plugs into our pipeline, our Python pipeline, which then goes through that list, and then takes each one of those shots one by one, and does color conversions using lookup tables on a per shot basis from the database, and then converts them, from the EXR format into the DPX, and then writes them out. We leverage our render farm to do that, so we can. Actually, we found that we can actually bring our storage system, which is massive and fast, to its knees when we're doing a big delivery, using FTrack in combination with Nuke Studio and the render farm. Because we're leveraging all of our Nuke licenses, our render licenses for that. So, so we can. It allows us, like a producer, to be able to do, to ingest, review, and deliver huge sequences without a technical person. Having to check things by hand. I mean, I'm a real believer in human error. If there's human involved, there will be error.
Of course there will.
And
Of course they
so
will.
we're trying to remove as much human whenever we can, just leave the humans to do the creative fun things, not the copying. So we use it massively. I mean, it's we've as I said earlier, we started on at the very big level in the big projects, which just have to have that, otherwise they would fail. And we're finding that we're able to go further down and down onto this smaller scale projects and still get those benefits.
Yeah. Okay, so I've got a question for both of you. It's going to be a good one for you. But this is for our guests. What new features would you like to see in Nuke Studio? Listen. Geordie.
I have one that I already asked Juan today. It's like you have the tag for saying this ended, starting, whip, whatever, and we would like to have that like a burning. I mean, in order that when you're delivering something to the client, if a shot is for you finished, you have the signal that it's finished, and you have the tag burning. So I was asking today to Juan.
Okay, nice to kind of carry that with the burn-in.
With the burn-in, so if the shot has been approved by the client, you already have a tag that says that's been approved. So if they come back with a version or something, you can actually say that shot has the burn-in that was approved at that point or something like that, or it's in work in progress, and you know that shot is actually in work in progress.
Okay.
So it says the burn-in is a brilliant one.
I have more.
Well, that's actually the tags. I mean, that gets us going because we've written a lot of tools on top of the tags. Because often we found that you have duplicate tags very easily, and so we want to build a lot more database features on the tags because it's so useful. I mean, we've got very used to doing things in FTrack and putting database elements on that, but we've done one scene recently where we were going from night to day, and it was what we started doing was putting day, night, and different times of the day tags onto the data, but we found that it was very easy to duplicate them. So having booleans and tags and having maybe some underlying logic on tags would be very, very useful.
Okay.
We'll have to do that.
He's nodding. He's saying okay. So
actually, I've got another one.
Go on, do it. He's here.
Okay.
Speak for the masses.
Conforming. I think there's a lot of room for the conforming to be improved, and we found Nuke Studio and Hero can conform things other products can't. But the thing we really miss is that sort of quick turnaround where you can click on let's conform using these file paths or this method and instantly see things light up and drop in. At the moment you're having to sort of do all your selections and then say right, let's go. And then you have to sort of start again if it doesn't work.
So you'd like to see a bit more of an iterative feedback in terms of what it's actually doing.
Yeah, sort of more of a live conforming thing where you can sort of sort of have one set of rules, and you can say, right, these are rules that, you know, almost like a layered conform. So I think there's quite a bit of room there just to sort of do that, because you wouldn't believe some of the EDLs we see are just appalling.
So you'd rather just want to see things as they go, so you actually can quickly tell if maybe something might be going wrong as well.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I think conforming could be sped up about 4 or 5 times, and you know, when you're spending a whole day conforming, and especially with the quick turnaround, I mean, with the longer form jobs, it doesn't matter so much, but especially when you're getting edits, EDLs, left, right, and centre, going through that pain, you know, that can become quite painful, and I want to use it more with the short form jobs, and you know, and if you're conforming one every 2 or 3 days, that, you know, making it 2, 3, 4 times faster is of real value.
Okay. Transparent real-time feedback.
Yeah.
My developers are hating me right now.
Lucky that most of them have gone home. So, actually, this is a question. Can anyone speak on behalf of any new editorial tools? Okay.
No.
Sorry about that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Sean, what's your perfect build machine for Nuke Studio? And I've just bounced onto our system requirements page, so I guess we can use that as a point of reference.
Yes,
but
I definitely say it's the first port of call to go to. We do have certain systems where we have, I guess you could say, slightly high level of bugs in certain areas, which we are constantly working to level out and keep as minimal as possible and equal. But yeah, I don't know if I can give an on-air live, because I think we've had very good situations of people having getting good experiences with different systems according to what they're also doing.
Okay.
But definitely use that page as a reference to start with.
And we'll pop that page up as well on Twitter. If you can pop that up. Thanks, babes. And just a comment that's just made me giggle, but it's also, maybe it's one to consider. So, TF sessions at F-Track HQ, at Foundry team. Now, a Nuke Studio F-Track session should be a given. I think we kind of had it. But maybe that's one we can look at for the future. Okay, well, round of applause for the boys. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. So we're going to go off air shortly, but if you do have any questions that you want to send, if you're watching on the record, we can pass them on to Geordie and Paul and get some answers back for you as well. So you can do that using the hashtag as well, and we can get them through. Also, just to let you know that we will be having a session again next month. We are absolutely committed to give you one a month. So that will be going out, information about that in the next couple of weeks, so keep your eyes peeled. So thank you again for joining us. And if you're watching on the record, thank you very much as well. And we shall see you soon. Bye.
I was almost going to say hi, Mom. Almost going to say hi, Mom.